Welcome to Inspire the Next Mind by Fazoo's AI. Today, we're going to talk about something that feels like a classic showdown in the tech world. Can those old school, grand architectural blueprints ever really play nice with the fast and furious backlogs of today's agile teams? Okay, so let's just get it out there. When you hear names like TOGAF or Zachman, these big enterprise architecture frameworks, what comes to mind? For a lot of us, it's this idea of an ivory tower. Slow, rigid exercises that create these huge documents that nobody reads while the actual development teams are sprinting ahead. And look, I totally get that skepticism. I really do. But what if that whole view is just a complete misunderstanding? What if we've been looking at these frameworks through a waterfall lens? And what if, when you use them the right way, they're not a roadblock at all? What if they're actually the secret to making agile work at a huge scale? So let's start with TOGAF. I want you to completely forget the idea of some master architect who dictates every single detail of a project. Instead, I want you to think of TOGAF as a city planner. A city planner doesn't design every single house, right? They set the zoning laws, the big, important guardrails, so that builders can create amazing, diverse things that all fit together into a functioning city. That's the modern role of TOGAF. And this change in thinking is everything. We are not creating 5-year master plans anymore. Instead, we're focused on defining what's called a minimum viable architecture, or an MVA. It really comes down to one question. What is the absolute bare minimum set of rules we need to establish right now to help our teams start delivering value immediately? And you can see the difference right here. The old way, on the left, was this massive 6-month project to define the entire enterprise data strategy. I mean, talk about boiling the ocean. The agile way, on the right, is so much more focused. For this product, we just need 3 rules. Services must be stateless, they have to use our API gateway, and they need to use the company's single sign-on. That's it. Everything else, flexible. We give the team the guardrails and then we say, go for it. It's empowering, not restrictive. And this agile approach can apply to the whole process. A TOGAF cycle doesn't have to drag on for a year. You can run the whole thing in a focused 6-week architecture sprint. You see it here. Weeks 1 and 2, you figure out the landscape. Week 3, you look at your options and sketch out a roadmap. And by week 4, just 1 month in, the team is already building stuff, and the architect transitions into a support role. And this right here is maybe the most important cultural shift of all. The architect stops being the architecture police, the gatekeeper who just says no. Instead, they become a consultant to the team. They're in the trenches with them, helping them navigate the city plan and build things the right way, making them faster and smarter. Now, this is where it gets really cool. The governance, the rules, gets automated. It's built right into the CI/CD pipeline. So instead of a developer waiting 2 weeks for a manual code review, they get feedback instantly. The build pipeline itself tells them, hey, your test coverage is below 80%, or, whoa, you're using a vulnerable library. The feedback is immediate, it's automatic, and the architect is no longer a bottleneck. Okay, so let's switch gears to our second framework, Zachman. If TOGAF is our agile city planner, then think of the Zachman framework as the city's master filing cabinet. It's a system for classifying everything. The old mistake was thinking you had to fill out every single drawer in that cabinet before you could start. That's not the point at all. It's a thinking tool, not a to-do list. The real genius of Zachman lies in these 6 simple questions you see here. What, how, where, who, when, and why. In an agile context, this isn't some giant upfront checklist. It's a lens. It's a tool you constantly use to make sure you're looking at a problem from all the important angles. And here's how you can use this tomorrow. Take a look at your team's backlog and just try to classify your user stories using these questions. You might find that your backlog is jam-packed with how stories, new features, but almost completely empty when it comes to the why. That's a huge red flag. It means you might be building a lot of stuff without a clear business purpose. This simple exercise helps you see the gaps. We've all been in that meeting. A developer says, we have a ton of tech debt. And everyone nods, but what does that even mean? It's just a vague feeling. It's not something you can actually work on. You can't put a feeling into a sprint, right? But when you apply the Zachman framework, you can turn that vague complaint into a specific actionable diagnosis. You can say, okay, the tech debt is in column 1, row 4. Specifically, our physical database tables are a complete mess. And boom, now you have something concrete. You can write a story for it, you can estimate it, and you can actually fix it. You go from complaining about tech debt to actually getting rid of it.
So let's take this one step further. How can this framework help us build better things from the very beginning? Like, say, a new microservice, which can be pretty complex.
Well, Zachman gives you the perfect definition of done for your design. The rule is simple. Before your team writes a single line of code, they need to be able to clearly answer these 6 questions about the microservice. This isn't about writing a 100-page design document. It's just about having the answers. If you can answer these, you've got a solid, well-thought-out design that's ready to go.
So, let's pull this all together. This isn't about choosing between the old, structured world and the new, fast-paced, agile world. It's about combining the best of both to create something way more powerful and sustainable.
So you have TOGAF, the city planner. That's your iterative process for setting the guardrails. And you have Zachman, the filing cabinet. That's your taxonomy for making sure the work is complete and well organized. One gives you the process, the other gives you the classification system. Together, they give you both structure and speed. Let me be really clear about this. When you use them in this modern, agile way, these frameworks are not the brakes. They are the accelerator. They give your teams the clarity and the confidence they need to move really, really fast without constantly breaking things or having to redo their work. It's the difference between just being busy and having sustainable speed. And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. It's a challenge to all of us, whether we see ourselves as architects or builders. Are we just laying one brick after another, focused only on the next user story? Or are we using these incredible tools of thought to make sure that every single brick we lay is part of a grander design, a valuable, coherent, and lasting city of the future?